Hey everybody, it's Clint. I'm back for another episode of a Runnin podcast. It's been a little bit longer than I intended to break between these, but life has a tendency of getting in the way or whatever. Um, so yeah, it's been a while. Not a whole lot going on. I've been back out on the trails, which is good. I was actually out on the trail yesterday, the usual one up by the waterfalls. I pretty much run that almost every day. Um, but anyways, there's chickens everywhere is the point of this whole story. And so yesterday, as I was pulling up. So let me first kind of describe the area. So I live and work close to. So let me start over. So I live near and work in a place in Hawaii called Hilo. It's I guess it's one of the two big cities, if you want to call it a big city, on the island of Hawaii. And I work up a road called Waianui Avenue. And up that road towards the end, there's actually several places that you can visit waterfalls. So I think the most downslope one is Rainbow Falls, and you go up a little bit more, and there's Boiling Pots. And then if you go up a little bit more, there's the start of a trail. I would say it's unmaintained. It's not kind of an official trail. I don't really actually know who owns the property. I think part of it's owned by the Department of Watershed Management, and then I think the other part is private property or management area or something like that. I don't know, but everybody and their mama goes up to this place, which is another story that I can tell at another time or later or whatever. But anyway, if you go up a little further from the, I guess, trailhead of where I usually run, there is another place that's off on the right-hand side. You go down a residential neighborhood, there's an old radio station, and then you'll run into the river one more time. It's the Wailuku River that kind of runs through Hilo and out to the sea. But anyways, I was going up to this trail. I like to run back there because there's most of the time you'll see a few people or more than a few people depending on what day you go. But most of the time you'll see a few people between the start of the trail and up to the waterfalls, the first kind of main part that people go to, I guess. But you can keep on going up after that, and it goes on up for probably 4 miles, I think, after you get to the part where the rest of the people just kind of drop off or linger at these waterfalls. I don't mean that they drop off the waterfall. I mean they go hang out at the waterfalls. They drop off the trail. So in other words, you're unencumbered for probably the next 4 miles, and then your return trip back down. You might see pigs, wild hogs, or you might see people hunting the hogs. I don't know if they're supposed to be. That's really none of my business is how I look at it. But anyways, I was going up to this trail, and there's always chickens that hang around. Hang on one second. Sorry about that. I had to stop and get some water. Anyways, there's always chickens that hang around at the place where you park. The place that you park is just kind of I wouldn't even call it gravel. It's just a place on the side of a paved road that has been parked on so many times that now I think it's worn down to the underlying lava rock. They may have thrown some gravel on top of it, but I really can't. I really can't say one way or the other. My memory's not that good. But anyways, I'm going up to park, and there's always chickens in this one area. First of all, if you've never been to Hawaii, there's chickens pretty much everywhere that you go. I'll post some pictures up on the site, either tonight or tomorrow, probably tomorrow. But there's chickens everywhere, and this particular place is no exception. So I'm going to park yesterday, and there's this chicken that's trying to get across the road. And so, I maybe I've got a soft spot. I couldn't keep going. I had to stop and let this chicken get across the road. And not only would I have stopped just in general for a chicken, but this one in particular, I had to kind of feel sorry for, I guess, because it was hobbling across the road, but it was kind of hobbling in a fashion where I couldn't really tell if it was wanting to cross the road or if it was wanting to stand in the road, if it was unsure, if it was going to turn back, or if it was going to keep going across. So the other part of this that's pretty important is the chicken, the gait of the chicken. You could tell that it was definitely injured. So it was hobbling, and the hobble was almost as if half of the chicken's lower body was not working. So I'm not making fun of the chicken, but it was interesting and kind of, I guess, it wasn't really sad to watch because I think it was managing, But this chicken is hobbling across the road, and there's a truck coming in the opposite direction, and I'm sitting there watching it, hoping that it doesn't get run over right before my very eyes because, again, if you are not, if you don't live in Hawaii, or you've never visited, sometimes people in big trucks, I don't want to stereotype, but sometimes people in big trucks don't slow down for small animals. We'll just put it that way. So this truck's coming down, the chicken's standing there, the suspense is building. It's trying to kind of figure out, I think, hang on one second. Okay, sorry. I had to sneeze. I thought I had to sneeze, and then I also had to get some more water. But anyways, okay, so chicken trying to get across the road, truck coming. I'm sitting there hoping that it's not going to get splattered right before my very eyes. So the chicken's hobbling across the road. It eventually decides to come across to my lane, narrowly avoiding being run over by the approaching pickup truck. That truck did not slow down, by the way. It would have totally run that chicken over without any thought whatsoever. But the chicken managed to get itself across the road, and so as I tend to do while I was on my run. Okay, so this went to a really bad place. I don't think about chickens while I'm on my run, but I do tend to think about things just in general, and so that chicken was kind of the last thing that I guess was really pressing on my mind before I started off. And so I think I did a 7-miler yesterday. I can't remember. It's posted up on the site from my Strava feed, but anyways, I'm thinking about this chicken, thinking about, what to name this chicken. Willie Nelson comes to mind. for no particular reason other than I just like Willie Nelson. I'm thinking, well, you know, hopefully I mentioned that the chicken made it across the road. I think I did. And the chicken was fine, even when I came back to my truck after the run. So apparently it's sustaining, but I digress. Back to the Willie Nelson thing. So I'm thinking Willie Nelson, cool name because I like Willie Nelson and, whatever. But then I'm thinking, well, the chicken only works on half of its body, kind of. It's hobbling along right now, as if half of its body is broken. So why not just call it a half Nelson? And so that's the nickname that I'm going to give it. And every time I see it, then I'll know that that's half Nelson. Conveniently enough, if the chicken does recover, then it can be dubbed full Nelson. And I'm not making this up. I really did see a chicken. This is not just kind of a masterful story that I've contrived to make up a joke. I think that it probably sounds that way. But more than that, I think probably nobody really cares either way. But yeah, so the chicken, as of now, half Nelson, hopefully full Nelson before long. But yeah, on to, I guess, more interesting things. So if you're still here, thanks for listening. Sorry to put you through that story. So I guess I'll jump into, I got a call, or I called someone. They requested that I call them to talk about just a couple things, just a couple simple things about running. This is a person that I believe this is a person that rode bikes for a pretty good while, and then I think dropped off, or at least dropped off Strava for a little bit. So I don't know how active they've been with actually road biking, but they were kind of making a foray into running. And so I didn't really ever get specifics on whether they were going into road running or trail running. Hopefully they're going into the latter, because that's my favorite. I do kindly tend to believe that people and roads don't mix, so people don't belong on roads with cars. Some folks may disagree, some runners and definitely bikers would probably disagree, but I don't know. The end result of that equation just is too often disaster, often enough that I don't really like to run on roads. But enough of my opinion on that. So this person was trying to start running and had noticed that they were having a lot of pain, I guess, in their calf. And they also mentioned that they had been striking with their heel. And so I'm kind of foggy. I really don't know for sure where that form kind of started. But I mean, I know that I used to think that runners should go from heel to toe. Like, I had heard that several times from several people, heel to toe, nice and easy and such. I can say with 100% certainty that for me, at least, striking with the forefoot and toes and then kind of moving back into the heel works a lot better for me. I have far less injuries when I do that, far less painful feelings. I can't even imagine striking with my heel. It would be so unnatural for me at this point. But yeah, and then I don't think that I think that was pretty much the only question. But as I do, I tend to ramble, so I rambled on a couple other points. The other thing, and this is not a shameless plug, but or shameless product placement, but I pretty much exclusively run in ultras. Ever since I found them, I just kind of have stuck with them, and the reason being is that okay, so let me weigh this out a little bit. So they're not incredibly durable shoes, or I'll say that all of their models aren't incredibly durable. They're pretty durable. They'll last a little while, but it's like nothing to get excited about. What I like about them is the toe box and the shape of the toe box on most of their shoe models, and how it lets my foot, which is a little, I guess, chunkier, it's kind of wide. It lets my foot spread out a little bit. It lets my toes spread out. I don't feel crunched in like I have with other shoe manufacturers. Even some shoes that were designed for ultra running. I like ultras a lot, and so I had recommended them to this person, and so that kind of gets to where I'm going with this is talking to them, who I kind of viewed as someone that is pretty serious and pretty knowledgeable as far as road biking is concerned. They still had some questions and needed some answers from me on a couple of specific things, because they were just starting out and running, and I think that is perfectly normal. When even though I had run, quite, I don't want to say quite a bit, because I wasn't ever super serious about just running exclusively, but during my time in the military, I didn't really have a choice, and part of my escape, also part of the way that I got away from everything, was just to take kind of a daily run by myself in the evening, just to have a mental escape, kind of like a moving meditation sort of period, which is also what I use running for now, too, wittingly or unwittingly. But so yeah, questions are good. I had a lot of them when I started out, and I think probably 100% of the injuries that I had when I started back running, I think it's been 7 years. It seems like not that long, but I think it's actually been 7 years ago since I started back running, I guess, seriously. So when I did that, I guess when I started running seriously 7 years ago, before that I had done it, but not for any super long distances. Maybe like 10 miles at the most was all I had ever run. Even in my military time, I had done some forced marches that were probably longer than that, but as far as running goes, I don't remember running much more than about 10 miles. But anyway, 7 years ago, I'm starting out getting serious about it, and my version of serious back then was very misinformed. So there were a lot of things that I was doing wrong. There was a lot of things that I should have probably had questions on if I didn't. I think probably 100% of the injuries that I had were just due to overexertion and improper form, and just really, really simple things to correct. And it wasn't until I started questioning those things and trying to learn more that actually started feeling better and started enjoying my time out on the trails. So, point being, it's good to ask questions. On another note, sorry, there's the cuckoo clock, and you can probably hear my dog walking around. The dog gets a little, she doesn't understand what's going on when I'm sitting here doing the podcast, because I'm talking to myself and not to her. And I think that makes her jealous, but also makes her curious. So you're liable to hear her walking around, and you're definitely going to hear the cuckoo clock, and you'll probably hear some other members of my family at some point in time. But anyway, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so talking to this person made me think of some of the other questions that I had, or pointers that I could give to people just starting out. Because to be honest with you, and not to be pretentious or not to sound cocky or whatever, but striking and footwear, things like that are not even things that really they're kind of on autopilot for me at this point, because I finally got to a point where I kind of know what I'm looking for. I don't have to think about it too much in regards to footwear. And then also running form, good or bad, is probably what it's going to be for the rest of my life. I think I'm set in my ways as far as that goes. And it's been working okay so far. But yeah, so things that I would, but the deal is that talking to this person made me think, there's a lot of things that I don't think about now that I thought about a lot, or I should have been thinking about a lot when I first started out. And so I guess I'll take some time just to kind of answer some questions in case anybody's out there that has these kind of questions, maybe doesn't want to ask or doesn't know where to ask or whatever. So as far as running form, I think one of the best videos that's out there, I believe it was Sage Kennedy that put this video out, and I don't know how old it is, but it's on YouTube somewhere. You can find it. But Sage Kennedy, and there was a female in the video, but I don't remember her name. But in this video, both of them demonstrate proper running form, and that's a great place to go and see actual experts and not take my word for it, because I'm nowhere near an expert, but to actually see what proper running form looks like, and hopefully you can get some use out of that. I used to have kind of like a standard blurb that had a link to that video. I'll see if I can dig it up, because I think it's in the site files for one of my old or an old version of one of my websites. So I'll see if I can find that, and I'll post that up. It was kind of like a letter to runners that were just starting out. I'm going to have to edit it because it's pretty old, and some of the information I think I've changed my mind on by now. But yeah, the video with Sage Kennedy and the other runner, the female runner, that one's good on running form. So as far as shoes, like I say, I would recommend Ultras. That's what's worked for me. They're going to be durable enough. One of the things I look for in Ultra models is a Vibram outsole. And I think probably if there are any Ultra runners listening, or trail runners, they're probably rolling their eyes and probably not seeing much value in this podcast at this moment, because that's kind of like a known thing that shoes with Vibram outsoles are great for running trail. So I'm not trying to sound smart, and I'm not reading this off of cue cards. I'm just telling you, like, that's what I've used and found to work well. I get kind of bummed if I like a particular shoe model and it does not have a Vibram outsole. They're that particular part of the Ultras that I've owned, the outsoles, the Vibram outsoles are so durable. They outlast the uppers. And they also grip like you wouldn't believe on trail. I've got right now I'm running in a pair of Ultra Temps, and it's not the newest I guess version. It's maybe like a version or two back because it was cheaper. I guess that's another recommendation that I can make for you. And so this is just really going to depend on personal preference. But I find that most running shoe models will go through several variations. So in other words, they'll keep reintroducing the same shoe model over and over across multiple years, and they'll make little changes year after year. Most of the time, the changes aren't significant enough to merit the premium that they will charge on the newest year's model. So I would say if you're just starting out, don't try to go for the latest and greatest. If you can afford it, then by all means, to do what makes you feel best. But most of my shoes end up trashed in a month or two anyways. So at this point, it's kind of like a non-starter for me to purchase the most recent model for $200 or 200 and plus. I'll just get a model that I like that's a couple versions back. But anyway, so right now I'm running in the Ultra Temps, and they do not have a Vibram outsole. I think they would be perfect if they had that, but they don't. And so one of the things that is I find curious about these shoes is I don't seem to slip on trail. I run on hard kind of lava rock and gravel trails mostly, and a little bit of mud here and there. I don't tend to slip on those trails, even the rocks that are wet and covered with moss or slime or whatever. But I did notice that when I was on Oahu a couple weeks ago, I was walking down the street and I almost busted my tail several times in these shoes. So they can't grip, I guess, on the smooth, wet surface, but on a bumpy, gnarly surface that would cut you up if you fell on it, they seem to grip well enough. So they don't have Vibram outsoles. It's some kind of other proprietary material that they use for the outsole. But yeah, that's what I'm wearing now, the Temps. I like them. In the past, I've also worn the Lone Peak, which is a pretty popular shoe. Again, that one doesn't have the Vibram outsole. It would be perfect if it did. I noticed in the advertisement that they've got some kind of, I don't know if it's new, but they were kind of showcasing the new out or the new sole material. So it's some kind of proprietary special name. It's not Vibram, but it's I guess Ultra's own blend of whatever, rubber or whatever. So maybe it's as good, or maybe it's better than the old sole. I don't know. What was my point? Oh, so yeah, the Lone Peaks. I liked them a lot. They were a little heavy, but as far as cushioning goes and comfort, great. And they had the nice toe box, and they were pretty durable because they're, I guess, a thicker upper. I'd also worn several times. It's actually a shoe I think that was designed for like Spartan races, obstacle course races. So the cushioning is pretty minimal on these shoes. Now the name of them is escaping my mind. Hang on, I'm gonna look it up and I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. I'm back. I actually had to go on Ultra's site and look up the name of these. I think I've had like 5 pairs of them. The King Mountain. So I've had different pairs, different versions, and I really like them for just daily running. I ran quite a bit for me, at least last year. That's primarily what I was running in were the King Mountains, or King MT. I'm assuming that's King Mountain. Um, but you look at them and you're like, not much cushioning there, but the outsole is great. Like you absolutely can grip on anything, and I believe that those are Vibram outsoles on the King Mountains, but I really like those for longer ultras. I had the Olympus. I don't remember what version. And I also did another one. I can't remember what that one was called. Let me find it here. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. I don't know. Oh, maybe because I'm looking at the trail. Sorry. It wasn't the temp. I did use those, but this was another one. It was kind of like a more cushiony Tauren. That's what it was. I had the Tauren. I can't remember what version of that I had, but yeah. But primarily the King Mountains is what I used all of last year and the year before, and the year before that. I think I really like those. So now I'm on the temp. I guess I just kind of like decided to experiment a little bit and try out some different ultra models, and I like the temps so far, other than I just can't wear them on wet sidewalks because I'll fall and break my tail. But yeah, so as far as shoes go, you don't need the latest and greatest. I would say, ultra all the way, at least from my experience. So to run, all you need is a pretty decent pair of shoes, something that will let your toes splay out, and something that will give you enough cushioning to where your feet won't be killing you afterwards. Striking with your forefoot, definitely check out some form videos, and there's actually consultants out there. I saw one when I was in Japan. My wife set it up, so I'm sure if they have it in Japan, they definitely have it in the United States too, and probably wherever you are in the world listening to this. You can probably find somebody that will teach you how to have proper running form, even if it's high school track coach or college or whatever. You can find somebody. Bob from accounting, or don't ask me because I only know what works for me, and I think I run like an old man. So, but yeah. So what do you need to run? Really and truly, just a good pair of shoes and a good pair of shorts. I can't tell you enough the value of a good pair of running shorts. So how do I put this delicately? If you have a bad pair of running shorts, you will know 100% that it's a bad pair of running shorts after the first time you wear it in a distance over 5 miles, because your body is going to tell you in a not so subtle way. Good pairs of running shorts that I've had brand wise were Patagonia. I had, I think they're called Strider, with the 5-inch inseam. Strider Pro, I think they're called, with the 5-inch inseam. What do I like about those? I like them because of the fabric they're made out of. They dry really quick. They're lightweight, and they've got several pockets on them, so you can put things inside. I think that's what pockets are usually for. But anyways, these are different. These aren't like the side pockets, like the slit pockets where you can put your whole hand in. These are just on the kind of up around the waistband, and you can put like whatever you want. If you use gels, you can put gels in there. I don't use gels, energy gels or whatever, but I have put, like bars and like nutrition bars, and even when I finished with a flask, like the Solomon little, they're not rigid, there's like a soft flask, I can squash it up and put it in those pockets, and then carry on. Sometimes I'll carry a little buck knife in the pocket too, especially when I'm out on the trails where there's like wild pigs or wild people, just to kind of, I don't know, look cool. I don't know why. I've never been attacked out on the trail. I hope I never am, by a person or a pig or whatever, but sometimes I'll throw a knife in that pocket just for, you never know. Maybe I want to do some whittling while I'm running up the hill. At any rate, so I like those. And then also, believe it or not, I have a couple pairs of ASICs trail running shorts. I have never been able to find them anywhere except for online. Even the ASIC store didn't know what I was talking about. But these are just black shorts, and up at the top around the waistband, they also have a couple pockets. And the thing that I like about them is that I can wear them for a big old long run and be totally fine chafing wise afterwards. The waist is elastic, but it's not so elastic that it's constricting, and it's not so loose that they're falling down, that I have to over cinch the little cord, the tie cord or whatever, which I did have to do, and I had to start doing in the Patagonias after a while. And so now those shorts, even though they're good shorts, I still like them a lot. They're still structurally sound. The upper part, for some reason, I guess the elastic is wearing out, so I have to, or maybe I don't think that I've gotten smaller. I by honest opinion, I don't think I've gotten that much smaller since I bought those shorts, but I have to cinch that waist down, and the things are so weird. They just hang off your waist by the draw cord, and so that's, I guess you just have to experience it to understand. It's just a weird thing to not have elastic on your waist and just having your shorts held up by a cord. It's not a cool feeling or a great feeling. So that's the only thing I really don't like about the Patagonias. But heck, I still wear them because they're super expensive, and I'm not really into buying a bunch of pairs of new shorts or whatever. So I just use what I got. But yeah, those two things I like. There may be better stuff out there. I don't know, but That's just what I like as far as shorts. So a good pair of running shorts and also a good pair of running shoes. Those are the big things that you need. Where I'm at climate wise, I don't really ever need a shirt, and I guess that's a matter of opinion. Some people probably look at me and say, hey, why don't you put a shirt on? I remember when I was young and insensitive. Now I'm just old and insensitive, but when I was young and insensitive, I used to have a buddy in the Navy, and one of the things that we would always do, just kind of like an inside joke, we would see people that look like maybe, they needed to get out a little more, do some exercise, and our catchphrase was, hey, put some sweats on. You need to put some sweats on. Put some sweats on that. But now I think probably some people look at me and say, hey, you need to put some sweats on that, buddy. So the tables have turned, and now I'm the subject of probably much ridicule. But much to the chagrin of onlookers, most of the time in the climate I live in, I prefer not to wear a shirt. One, because of the humidity and heat. Two, because it's often raining. Where I live at, it rains nearly every day. So having on a soggy shirt, I think, is worse than just being wet with no shirt on. So if you have to wear a shirt, I would recommend, I don't really have a particular brand, but I would just recommend something that is comfortable, not cotton, something that dries quickly and is not too heavy, like a real lightweight synthetic material. And you're going to want to, sounds a little forward of me, but you're going to want to guard your nipples. I don't know if this is the same for male and female, but for male, for sure, you want to throw some tape on that. Throw some tape on those puppies, because they will be hurting if you don't. I guess some other advice too, and I learned this the hard way. Don't wear white shirts, especially if you're doing a marathon, and don't wear light colored shorts, especially if you're doing a marathon, because it's kind of like poker. You don't want to show your hand. It's just not a good look. So probably dark colors are good for the bottoms, and then for the top, just wear something that if for some crazy reason your nipples start bleeding, it's not bleeding onto a white fabric and embarrassing you in front of onlookers, unless that's what you want. If that's what you want, go for it. But yeah, so as far as equipment, that's pretty much all that you need. Something to hold water. I usually run with a soft flask, and so that could be a good thing or that could be a bad thing. I say all in all, the Solomon soft flasks that I've had have been okay. The more recent ones that I bought have been better than the first ones that I purchased, a few years back. They have a problem with developing holes where they've kind of got like a thermal seam where they kind of like press them together with heat. So I've had more than a few of those develop leaks around those seams. That's my only bugaboo with those, but I like to carry them because you can squash them up when you're done with them, put them in a pocket, or you can carry extra ones, if you're going to be coming to clean drinking water source or whatever, and you want to fill up, you can take extra ones with you and just smash them down. And pull them out as needed. So I usually run with one of those for short runs, and then I'll take a pack for longer runs where I've got a hydro pack in the back and a couple of those soft flasks in the front. So all in all, I think like about 2 liters of water. I don't drink straight water. I'll usually put scratch in it if I'm bringing water with me on a run. I'll put scratch in it just to replace the electrolytes. That's what I've found works best for me. You may be different, but for a long time I didn't feel really good, and I was running fine, everything, but I just wasn't feeling right. And I think a lot of it was because I wasn't replacing electrolytes afterwards. But I'm not a doctor, so please don't don't start buying up scratch and guzzling it because I'm recommending it. But yeah, so I think I've kind of strayed. The main point that I was trying to make is good shorts and good shoes, and I guess good socks. The socks that I found to be most beneficial, or I don't know, most comfortable for me are Belega. These are socks that are made, I think, in South Africa. The fabric or the thread comes from North Carolina, I think, and they assemble them, I think, in North Carolina and South Africa. I could be wrong on that. One thing I do know is that they definitely don't assemble them or make them or any part of them come from China. So I have no real opinion on stuff that comes from China as far as this podcast goes, but except for if you order these particular socks off of Amazon, be careful because the price is exactly the same as what you would pay for the actual socks. But when you get them, you're going to notice, especially if you have some old pairs of Belega that are legit, you're going to notice some differences in the packaging, in the quality of the sock, and also in the construction of the socks. So be careful if you take my advice and order these Belega socks of purchasing them on Amazon, because you may end up with knockoffs, and you would have paid the same price that you would have paid for the actual ones if you went to a running store or purchase them elsewhere online. So Belega, that's what I usually wear for running. I like those pretty well. So good socks, good shoes, strike with your forefoot, good running form, hydration, not just over watering yourself, because you actually can, I guess, push electrolytes out or kind of dilute your dilute your electrolyte balance, if that makes any sense. Put too much water in your system. You need salt to survive. Your heart runs off of sodium and potassium, I believe, and so you need that. And salt also provides some level of fluid control within your body. So you definitely need salt. You definitely need to replace electrolytes. So scratch is my go-to. It was recommended to me by an actual doctor. I'm gonna mess up his credentials, but he is a PhD, and his study is in athletes. So let me find his real information. If you want to see his company, it is Hawaii Running Lab, and he's based out of Honolulu. So let me Google this real quick. His name is Dr. Michael Garrison, and let me look at his background because I don't want to mess him up. So it's Michael Walls Garrison, PhD, and he received a BS in exercise science from University of California at Davis. His master's in education, I think, and maybe that's wrong. Maybe that's wrong. But the master's is in sports management from the University of Arkansas, and then PhD is in kinesiology from the University of Arkansas. And so he knows this stuff, and he was the one that recommended Scratch. And from my personal experience, I liked it a lot. But you can check out his information. You can also get coaching services from him. It's Dr. Michael Garrison, and his site is hawaiirunninglab.com. So yeah, definitely check him out. But I said all that just to say that I didn't just pull Scratch out of the air. This was actually one of several recommendations that Dr. Garrison made to me during a consultation that I had with him, and it really helped. Or his advice in general really helped. But anyways, so I guess that would be another thing. Get with somebody that really knows what they're talking about and ask them your questions. Dr. Garrison is a great person to ask. Google and YouTube depends on the source, right? So you can't take everything that's on Google or everything that is on or everything that you Google or everything that's on YouTube has 100% God's honest truth. But if you get somebody that's got that much education and sports background and kinesiology, probably they're going to know a little bit of what they're talking about, probably more than a little bit. But yeah, so ask questions if you're not sure for sure. I don't think that there's a whole lot of judgment in the running community. I think ultra runner, my experience has been there's not a whole lot of judgment in that community either. So I've had several people that really shouldn't have any interest or anything to do with talking to me or even existing on the same dimensional plane as me, actually take time out to give me advice and even go on some long runs and kind of point out some things to me that have helped me a great deal, that I still carry with me today and use when I'm out on a trail, that have gotten me through some tough times. So yeah, mentorship. I forgot what my point was. So there's not a lot of judgment in most cases in the running community. It's weird because when you're out running, you're really doing it by yourself. I mean, it's a activity. It's kind of like life. We surround ourselves with things and we surround ourselves with people, but all in all, we're really kind of by ourselves. We're just distracted by everything else. So agree or disagree with that. Running is kind of one of those things that you really are more or less it's up to you, like whether you're going to keep on doing it or how fast you're going to go or whatever. But at the same time, there's a eureka moment and there's mutual benefit, I think, in somebody that has advice to give giving that advice to somebody that has a question or is just starting out. So it's kind of a symbiosis. Like I like to help people that are where I was, just starting out and not knowing kind of what I know now. I've still got a lot to learn, but it helps me to be able to give that advice, and it's cathartic for me. So I think that's probably the driving force behind people that helped me early on was, hey, I'm going to give you the tools and let's see where you literally run with it. So ask questions. Don't fear judgment, because it's literally like your health and your well-being on the line. So to prevent injury and kind of, prevent some of the stumbling blocks of getting started, definitely ask questions, get opinions, and you'll be good to go. I guess the last thing I'll say, and then I'm going to cut this podcast short because it's getting kind of late and I got to go to work tomorrow. But the last thing I'll say is, don't be convinced that you need the next best thing to be the next best you. You control how successful you're going to be in any of your endeavors. And what I mean by that is you are all the influence that can possibly be made is made by you. So it's not really so much up to whether you have the newest shoes as it is up to your brain's ability to overcome not having the newest pair of shoes, or not having your favorite song playing in your ear, or not having, XYZ, and on and on and on. It's up to your mind and to push your body to get to the next level, or do the next thing, or do or maintain, or whatever, however you're going to do it. You're the driving force behind that. So don't feel like you have to buy a new pair of shoes every week or every month, or when a new model comes out or whatever. Buy them when they're worn out, which is probably 400 or 500, or we'll say 300 or 400 miles for most people and most shoes. You don't have to have fancy lights all over your body. I've seen all kinds of lights that go on your wrist, lights that go on your feet. I don't know what they were thinking, like that would actually stay on your feet. I don't know, maybe they will. I never tried them, but I can't think of what utility those lights on your feet would have. They would be bouncing everywhere, and I don't see how it would help you see where you're going. It might, I don't know. Like I say, I never use them. But you don't need a bunch of shirts. You don't need a bunch of shorts. You don't need, this and that and such. You don't need to put a lot of stuff into your body, right? So don't go to GNC or wherever. I don't mean to pick on GNC. Don't go to any place. Well, basically, I don't want to get sued, but don't go to any store and start buying up nutrition or supplements and stuff and just like putting them into your body, because you're gonna try to kickstart something into motion. Okay, if you do go to GNC or you do go to some other store and you're gonna purchase supplements, make sure that or nutrition, make sure that you take your time. Ask somebody that maybe has already used these type of things. Maybe consult something other than Google to get some information on things before you start putting it into your body. And most of all, maybe start seeing what you can do on your own without all this stuff. Don't try to kickstart things, because easy come, easy go. The main point of what I'm trying to say is there's no correlation between the money that you spend on stuff to make you better at running and you actually becoming better at running. So, in other words, you could spend a bunch of money and still be terrible because you don't get out and actually do your trial by fire. Like you don't, you're not actually making your endurance better or improving upon your physical abilities. You're just buying a bunch of stuff. You're just accumulating a bunch of stuff. The only thing you're making better is your idea of what you think a good runner would have. So you get all these gadgets, but you don't really need them. You just need to get out there every day and grind. And so grind for some people could be a mile. Grind for some people could be a marathon every day. Believe it or not, there's people that do that. If you want to see a guy, look up Cameron Haynes or look up David Goggins and check those people out. But, do what works best for you. You don't have to have a bunch of fancy crap to run. There's not going to be a lot of judgment. And if people do judge you, then, just brush them off. But I've not ever experienced that. I can honestly say I don't think I've ever experienced judgment from another runner. At the most, all I've experienced, and I'm kind of this way too, are people that run because they want to do something, but team sports are not really their thing. It's kind of catharsis, and it's kind of what works for them. So you may run into quiet people that don't talk a lot, right? But most of the people that I've come in contact with have been super helpful, and I think that I've benefited in many ways from running and the people that I've met doing it and the experiences that I've had. So that's just a little piece of kind of my beginner's advice. I hope that somehow has melded into one congruent, linear train of thought. If you made it this far, thank you for listening, and hopefully I will be back soon with another podcast. I'm trying to get this into a routine where it will be more routine and not so sporadic. But if it's not this, it's not one thing, it's another. So I'm always trying to do life, and then I also want to do this too. So it's a situation of so many things to do, and not that much time. So I'll be back. Thanks for listening. Hopefully you got some benefit out of this. If not anything more than just to laugh at me, and yeah. But anyways, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.